Hi and welcome to this reading. Today's reading is pulling through the energy of a sword, the energy of the number 7. Now, this energy was pulling through in the previous reading because I was drawn to, on the bottom of this teacup, I was drawn to the name of the producer of the porcelain, and it was Churchill. And I've just taken some time to have a look at when Churchill was in office. And it actually aligns beautifully. He was actually in office twice. So let me get a card before we start. Let me get a card for the angelic energy of this reading. Number 7, patience, learning, and wisdom. Now that angel aligns with the 5 of Pentacles. That's so interesting. I'm pulling in the energy of a double-edged sword. And number 1, new beginnings and bestows wisdom. That's the Fool card. Okay. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If this reading resonates with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I do post regularly. Currently at the moment, I'm pulling through the messages I'm receiving prior to the reading, getting lots of religious biblical references, because what's happening currently in the collective is mirroring stories, biblical stories. And obviously there's lots of tie-ins within lots of big things that are happening, big wars, big arguments, two sides of one story that are happening in the collective. Two sides of the sword. I just heard 2 truths and a lie. So what happens is when this energy comes through, how we deal with things on a personal level, because there's potentially this sort of dynamic playing out within your life, whether it's happening to you, whether you are witnessing it on a personal level, on a local level, maybe it's happening within the community or within a workplace or within a family setting. But the same energy will play out all the way through. And so why I believe there's relevance in pulling through these bigger messages that hold significance and underlying foundations of bigger things that are playing out in the collective is because it's an opportunity for us to watch and learn so that we can implement the things that are of the highest good for what's happening individually for us on our timeline. And I truly believe that big players, you know, like countries, world wars, that sort of thing, are meant to happen as a karmic example, as a lesson that we can learn from. What can we draw from past experience so that we don't make the same mistakes in the future. Out of balance emperor energies that are currently at play in the collective in terms of heads of state of specific countries. Now, I'm not going to name them. You know who I'm talking about. You can sit back and you can look at, say, the people within your family, the people within your workplace that exhibit the same sorts of characteristics. So it's almost like you're watching a global game of chess, and then you can come back and you can go, right, well, that would be that particular person, and that would be that particular person, and this is the chess move that was made here, and draw some enlightenment from it. Patience, learning, and wisdom. Number 7, new beginnings and bestows wisdom. So we've got wisdom here twice. Wisdom. What are you learning from what's currently playing out in the collective? So the energies that I was pulling through, I had been given the information that the number 7 in Hebrew means sword. Sword, axe, to cut. So we've got a 7 here. In Matthew 10:34, it talks about division. And we know, well, I said it in my previous reading, that the number 77, now this reading will be housed in a playlist that's pulling through all these 7 numbers, the 7 synchronicities that I am seeing playing out. The Wheel Within a Wheel is the name of that particular playlist. 7s, 77s, 777, 4 7s. Karmic lessons that roll over and over and over in each and every lifetime. Now, 4 7s is 28. 28 is when you go through your Saturn return. Wisdom, patience, learning, and wisdom. What are you learning in this particular cycle of your life? And how can you view what's happening collectively and use or become wiser to what's currently going out currently going on individually for you. So sword is 7. Sword, axe. In Hebrews 4, for the word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword. So that's 2 sevens, 77. Now Israel turns, it's May 8th today, Israel turns 77 on the 14th of May. Churchill, which is what I was looking at before. Churchill, because it's Churchill on the bottom of this teacup. Churchill was in power from 1940 to 1945. So he was in power for 6 years. And then he was out of power, and then he went back in. But he was instrumental in forming this state. He was a Zionist. He was instrumental in forming the state of Israel. Now, the Second World War, which was 1939 to 1945, 39, that's 7 years. So again, we've got the 7 reference. Israel, the state, was formed in 1948. This year, on May 14th, it turns 77. Double-edged sword. Revelation 1, 16. 1, 16. A 1 and a 6 is 7. He had in his hand 7 stars, out of his hand, and out of his mouth a two-edged sword. 77. Now, lots of 7 references. Obviously, you can go through the 7 days of the week, the 7 ancient wonders of the world, 7 natural wonders of the world. There's lots and lots of 7s just all through everything. The Feast of Weeks, which would be first week of June, is 7 weeks from Passover. We're pulling through these 7 references. Zayin is a sword in Hebrew. Ancient's wisdom. Something about a double-edged sword here. Something that is cut like a knife. Patience, learning, and wisdom. Evolution of the soul. Okay. That's the wheel within the wheel. We've got a love offer on the bottom. I'm just going to leave that there for now. So the other message I was getting was the story of Exodus, which is about moving away from something that's keeping you enslaved. Somebody's got a hold, somebody's got a sword up to your neck. Exodus 24, and it also aligns with the Feast of Weeks. So we've got the 6 and the 7, both aligning with the Feast of Weeks. Okay, I'm just going to see where we go here, because I'm kind of getting, whoa, we've got a sword. The Page of Swords, the Sun in Gemini, and the 10 of Cups. Okay, Mars in Pisces, and the 2 of Cups on the bottom. And I did say before we had a love offer here. Do I want to turn that over? I've got that song Standing in the Hall of Fame ringing in my head. Turn your pain into power. Evolution of the soul. Yeah, look at that. Page of Pentacles. Turn your pain, turn your past pain into power. Okay, clearly wants to come out. Turn your past pain. Your growth lies in the story of Exodus is about moving away from what was keeping you enslaved. 2 of Cups could be a person, a relationship, a work dynamic, a religion, something that you are bound to. And because we had 4 sevens is 28, when you are born into this lifetime, you are born into, karmically, you are born into a family where the big foundational lessons of your life are laid. The big core ones are laid. Children don't have a choice. They go to the church that their parents go to. They go to the school that their parents can afford. They eat the food that their parents eat. Everything is almost laid out on a platter in terms of the soul contract that you have, but it's done in such a way that you either die by the sword or live by the sword. Little bits of white on that. The sun is breaking through. It's what you've built. The Queen of Wands is a new beginning. Page of Pentacles, excuse my dog barking, based on the karmic lessons that you learn from. Six of Cups is the past. And if you look at somebody like Churchill, who during his initial tenure, double-edged sword, during his initial tenure, set up the foundations for, let's use it as an example, the state of Israel. And then he went back in. There was somebody in between. So he had one tenure, somebody came in, and then he went back again. But a sword is also a sword of truth, because it's Archangel Michael's sword of truth. Now, I did have that before. Where did I see that? Christ comes with a double-edged sword. Revelation 1:16. Revelation 1:10. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and I heard a loud trumpet. Right, it said cuts like a knife. And I'm looking at the books that I've got beside my table here. I've got The Wizard of Oz and 77, which is how old Israel will turn on the 14th of May this year. 77 in Hebrew is Oz, O-Z. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it's definitely O-Z, 77. And then I've got Rosemary Taylor, Orphans of War, Work with the Abandoned Children of Vietnam, 1967 to 1975. And then I've got A Soldier's Story. And then I've got Gabor Mate, which is a book called When the Body Says No, the physical toll of hidden stress on your body. A double-edged sword. So you can use a sword to defend yourself, but a sword also cuts. There's a message coming that, I don't know whether you picked that up, but the dogs are barking. The postie, when the postman comes up the street and he's got a package, he'll beep his little motorbike to let the homeowner know that he's literally about to drive up their driveway and be on their doorstep. There's a message, there's some sort of message coming. Patience, learning, and wisdom. Is it a message about opening the door? This Page of Swords is on guard. A parcel, a package that's coming that has the, again, cuts like a knife, that has the ability to cut like a knife. And are you going to learn from whatever, are you going to learn from whatever's in it? This is a test. New beginnings bestows wisdom. There we go, patience, learning, and wisdom. So in a battle, if you hold a sword, you hold power, but it also has the ability to cut you. This reading is all over the place. Not all over the place, but the story of Exodus is about moving away from what was keeping you enslaved. When Moses went through the water was a double-edged sword. And that's funny, actually, because that is Exodus 24, and a 2 and a 4 adds up to a 6. Man in Hebrew is the number 6. And mem. I've written down mem. Mem equals 40. Mem is water. Something that you're holding. It's a bit like you wouldn't give a sword to a child because they're not wise enough to hold it. The energy around us, double-edged sword. The moon in Libra, 2 swords. And can you see behind there? It's a cherry blossom. It's wisdom. I don't know what the symbolism of a cherry blossom is. Wisdom. Wisdom lies behind the double-edged sword. Yeah, look at that. What's happening in the 3D? Enlightenment. The Hangman is the epiphany. Wisdom lies behind the double-edged sword. What's happening in the soul? Okay. Wow. So you've got the Ace of Pentacles, new beginning. New beginnings bestows wisdom. You've got the 9 of Cups, which is Jupiter in Pisces. That's spiritual wisdom, and Jupiter is 777, so now you've got 3 swords. The Ace of Pentacles, which is, as I said, a new beginning, a balanced, stable new beginning, and the 8 of Pentacles, something that you can work on, or something that you have worked on through the spiritual enlightenment that is working out, cuts like a knife. The things in your life that cut like a knife. Spiritual enlightenment. Spiritual enlightenment. King of Pentacles on the bottom. What's the message from the man upstairs? Judgment. That's Pluto in Aquarius, which is what we're in. 20-year period of major revolutionary change. Pluto in Aquarius happens every 250 years. The last time it happened was the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Now, in that particular instance, and what goes around comes around, the French were helping to fund, it was a 20-year period, the monarchy was helping to fund because they hated the English so much, and America was trying to distance itself from England, which is what was the American Revolution was about. The French were helping to fund the American campaign at setting up an independent state, independent of Britain. But at home in France, the people were starving. So the monarchy held the power, but they also held the sword to their, what are they called? They held the sword to the neck of the people that they were meant to be protecting because all of the money was going to America. Well, God stepped in. Where do we have that? Christ comes with a two-edged sword. A huge big volcano erupted in Iceland. Now, ironically, that volcano was called Laki, L-A-K-I, which means luck, 777. And lucky for the people, it was the catalyst after 8 months of ash cloud over Europe, where all of their crops failed. It was the catalyst for change because it gave them, on their last legs, it gave them the strength to rise up. That was the French Revolution. And if we're talking about a sword, the French monarchy was put to the sword in terms of the guillotine. It's judgment. The Four of Pentacles on the bottom, which is the Sun in Capricorn. You're putting something to the guillotine. You're cutting something out of your life. Story of Exodus is about moving away from what's keeping you enslaved. Page of Wands, which is the outcome. What's stopping you from coming forward? This guy's up behind the tree. He wants, and it doesn't have to be love. He wants love. But he's just watching, waiting, waiting for the volcano. The Ten of Pentacles on the bottom. Okay, let's use this deck. Tell us about this two-edged sword. Rebirth, death and rebirth. It's a new beginning. Now that's come out in reverse. Two of Cups in reverse. A new beginning puts that way. In terms of a love offer, puts that way. Walking away from one thing to another. Something that maybe isn't so dangerous. But the Two of Cups is a soul contract that you have with something existing in your life. Those people, the Jewish people in Egypt, had a soul contract to be enslaved by the Pharaoh. And Moses was the tool that actually cut that away. Very, very similarly, if you look at Israel at the moment, 77 years old, and that's 4 swords, 2 swords. And when I think about Oz, I think about the movie Wicked. So we had the first movie last year, end of last year, May 8th today. We had the first movie last year, and then the second installment. Now, I've not watched the musical, so the second installment comes in October this year, which I think is, yeah, I knew it was. It's Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, which to me is judgment. But if you think about 77, so if we're looking at this double-edged sword, the people of Israel have been building wealth, taking land for the last 77 years at the expense of the Palestinian people. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Knight of Pentacles, been going on for a long time. The Epiphany. I would say the world is waking up. The Two of Wands. Waking up to the plans. Now, as I said, you know, these readings come out because we're looking at what's happening collectively. Disappointment on the bottom. That's the Moon in Cancer. We're looking at what's happening collectively on a global level, but this energy plays out because if you've got wicked people in positions of power in the top levels of society, then these same wicked people, the same energy, the same collective energy has allowed these wicked people to play their game, a wicked game. That came through in a song yesterday in my random shuffle, a wicked game. They've been playing the wicked games all the way down. Come out again, the Four of Cups. They've been playing the wicked game all the way down. That's the moon in Cancer. Things that are hidden, the disappointments that are hidden, the things that you've missed out on because of somebody's game playing. You're starting to get the, hang on a minute. And it may be because you are watching the actions of people. And I know, like, certain presidents of really elected presidents of certain countries, the more I watch, the more I go, you remind me just like, you are just like this particular person in my life, or you are just like this particular person in my life. It's the same archetypal energy on all the different levels of society. And it's meant to be a ding ding moment for us to go, hang on a minute. And maybe you were picking up on it, but you couldn't quite put your finger on, who somebody was or how they were acting. But because you're viewing something on a bigger scale, the soul, defensive, the Seven of Wands, you possibly have been defensive to learning this lesson, which is maybe why you got cut by the sword. But Seven of Wands is also about going, actually, on a soul level, you don't align with me anymore, and putting some boundaries up, walking away. Too many cards. Look, putting some boundaries up. That's beautiful. Putting some boundaries up. We've got the Ace of Swords. That's Archangel Michael's Sword of Truth. We've got the King of Swords, which is Uranus in Libra. Uranus is the planet of earthquakes. It's about going, actually, I'm going to put some distance between you and I because I've had the enlightenment, the epiphany. This is what's happening in the soul. Huge, huge epiphanies, huge, huge enlightenment. That's actually really beautiful. Because this is why we have, and victory after a long battle, Six of Wands. This is why we have the Judgment card here. And the Six of Wands. The story of Exodus is about moving away from what's keeping you enslaved. Exodus 2:4 is a passage in the Bible, making a judgment call. Because you've had the enlightenment. Who's the Pharaoh in your life? Because if you think about Moses and Exodus, Moses was wise, spiritually wise. Moses was spiritually wise, and he made the decision to walk away and take his people with him. The emperor, the Pharaoh, the unwise person, because an emperor is somebody who has a balance of action and wisdom. The Hangman, speaking to God. God said, take those people through that water. And Moses went, okay, doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm either going to carry the sword, or I'm going to get cut by the sword. We're all going under. He took them through. And the Pharaoh was like, that's not happening. And so he charged through. And they obviously, the water came down and they found, I don't know, maybe in the last 12 months, the last couple of years, they've actually found chariots and fragments of bones at the bottom of that sea, which validates that story. Judgment. Look at that. High Priestess on the bottom. This energy is coming through in all of the readings. This massive, massive big change. It's a balance. The Six of Pentacles is a balance. North, south, east, west, balanced. North, south, east, west is 6. Man in Hebrew is 6. We have the Six of Wands coming out. Underneath, 6, it's balance. 6 is also love. And the Four of Swords. Making a decision. I said making a decision to be the sword. To cut anything out of your life. Sword, 7. Axe, to cut. Matthew 10:34 is division. Queen of Cups, follow your intuition. Okay, let's get the Queen of Wands. That's standing in your power. Walking away from what doesn't serve you, standing in your power. And we've got another sword here. Taking action. Taking action. Wow, so many swords. Taking action. Based on the spiritual lessons that you've learned. That Queen of Cups is intuition. It's pouring love into yourself, but it's also connected with this Hangman card. It's like a massive wake up. Something, it's like a sword that you were holding. A sword that you were holding. Maybe you were protecting somebody. A sword that you were holding was actually the thing that cut you. Defending. A double-edged sword. What did I hear this morning? I read it. It was on somebody's feed. And it was about making the decision to step away from the table because what they are serving you is poison. You realize that what they are serving you is poison. Sitting down to dinner, but realizing that what they are serving you is poison. Is there something hidden? Now, please excuse my stomach. I'm fasting. That is another 777. If you look up Strong's Concordance, 777. Put 777 into Strong's Concordance. The word fasting comes up. There's something about fasting here. Fasting and spiritual enlightenment. And then the other thing I was getting the other day was that in the period between when Jesus was a young boy and when he came back, when he was 30, when he started his ministry, he spent a lot of time learning about different religions, learning about fasting, getting his spiritual mind. And I find for me, the longer I fast, and I'm not telling you to, obviously everybody has their own way of connecting spiritually, and if you are going to embark on something like that and you have underlying health issues or anything like that, please seek professional advice before you do any form of fasting. Get a bit more information. But for me personally, when I fast, I get it's not that the message that I get is any different, it's just clearer. It's a form of connecting, a form of tapping in. Okay, 7s. 777 is fasting. Letters and numbers in here. I'll see what comes out. Let's make a little bit of noise. So if you have hearing sensitivity, just turn your volume down. I'm going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. An L and a 1. A C and a 3. A P and a 3. An A and a 1. A G and a 2. An I and a 1. A U and a 1. A Z and a 10. An F and a 4. An E and a 1. An M and a 3. A V and a 4. And an S and a 1. Okay, I'm going to get you 3 final cards. Do I want to use? Yes, I'm going to use those. Anything else we need to know about this double-edged sword? The world. The end of a karmic cycle. Now that's 21, which is 3 swords. 3 swords. 3 sevens. Well, 7 is a sword. 3 sevens. Oh, 3 swords. Holy cow. 3 of swords. Did I say that before? 2 truths and a lie. 2 truths and a lie. 3 swords. 5 of Wands, which is the 5 of Wands, which has been some sort of battle that you've been in. Guard guarding. But it's going back to the Four of Wands, which is stability. And I think it's through whatever you are being enlightened about, whatever you are walking away from, because you've had enlightenment. How beautiful. I love it when the cards, I love it when I say something and then I get the card, not knowing that that's the card that's coming. And I'm being called to this, the key. The key. There's something about a key. It's that song, Paris holds the key to your heart. That's from Anastasia. You got to go back to the beginning. There's a riddle in this. Okay, that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are called to any of my tarot or oracle decks, the links to those can be found in the description box. Any of the songs, anything like that that I mentioned, I'll pop in the description box. Also, intuitively, if you're drawn to, have a look at the lyrics of a song or the music video or whatever wants to come through. I'm just going to get you a song. Because I was just getting that Without You by Usher, Closer by Neo. Turn the lights off in this place. Jealous. And she shines just like a star. And I swear I know her face. When you say nothing at all. And beneath you're beautiful. A labyrinth. That's what I was saying before. It could be just whatever you've been in has been a labyrinth. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the song or the lyrics. Game, a wicked game that you're meant to extract yourself from, cut yourself out of through a spiritual awakening, through an evolution of your soul. New beginning that's being afforded to you. Interesting. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it. All the best on your journey. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If it resonated with you, please give it a like, and I will see you in another reading.